So let's get back to the characters. You might at least recognize him. I don't know if you know his name.
Oh, that's the one Dave really likes.
Yes. Yes. Oh, yeah. You might know him because of our Christmas shopping 2 years ago.
It just popped out of my brain.
His name is Wedge Antilles.
Oh, yeah.
And he's one of the few characters that have been in all 3 of the original movies that, apart from Luke, Han, Leia, Chewbacca, blah, 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 blah. So, yes, Dave does really like him because you helped me find a Wedge Antilles action figure for him for Christmas, either last year or the year before.
Yeah.
I don't recall. So we were all fans of this character going into this, but as we said, we found out Dave was a huge fan. And being that he was a huge fan and that there's no written death in any story, any comic book or novel or screen death for this character, we actually posed to Dave some ideas of what he would accept as the character's death. So this is what this clip is about. This is from episode 33 about Wedge Antilles. We kind of asked Dave which of our death ideas he would find acceptable.
But his final tale has never been written. I think they will continue to write stories about Wedge. One of these stories eventually may have his end of days. His death has not been written, so that is still a story yet to be told.
Well, let's go. I was worried about what you were going to say at the end, and maybe because he is so beloved and there's depth to the character, they're not ready to cash this one in yet. They're going to let it open for people.
Well, Dave, let me ask you what death? I don't want to say be happy about. What death would you be okay with for this character? What circumstance, if you can give me one?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. It would have to be something where he was sacrificing himself for the good of the rebellion, because that's what his whole life has been about. That's why I was even wondering about if Ramus Antilles was his dad, because I'm sitting there making my own fan fiction in my head when I'm watching that last scene in Return of the Jedi, and he's just kind of observing the party, and he's just smiling. I mean, Lando's dancing, he's doing the Lando shuffle, and he's just kind of observing, and it's almost like I'm thinking what he's thinking. Like this started way back when with, his parents, and, in my mind it was this other guy, but it could have been anybody. And now the rebellion has won, and he's just like satisfied.
Just relieved.
Yeah. And it would have to be something where, like, even as an older man, he somehow furthered the cause of the rebellion.
What if you
I totally agree.
Find out that rather than dying in battle and in a ship, what if he was going up the ladder on his X-Wing and he fell and broke his neck and died?
That would not be satisfying, I can say that.
What if he had a heart attack having sex with a very attractive yet talented and risky pilot he was taking under his wing for the new Rogue Squadron?
Mm-hmm.
That would be interesting, but also not satisfying, because to me
it was for him.
It was exactly.
Yeah. That would betray his character.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah, he's married, isn't he?
Well, just I know Chris and I are huge Indiana Jones fans, and I was dying in the 4th one to have them kill him. As much as I love Indiana Jones, I hope they make a 5th one, and I hope he dies, because I want him to have a fantastic
death scene.
That is for the greater good of whatever, humanity, a rebellion, the country, something like that. Like, he deserves a fitting death, and so does Wedge. And I hope whoever writes it one day, maybe George Lucas. I know that would make Matt happy.
He's a great writer.
I hope whoever does it, and I'm sure they will, they'll give it the attention that it deserves.
What if he choked to death on an ice cream cone given to him by Wilbur Hood?
That's something you would.
I'm lactose intolerant.
He gets a major brain freeze. Oh, that's terrible.
No, they better give him the honor and the respect that he deserves, because if they don't, they're going to have a fan revolt on their hands. It'd
be great if someone wrote like a 700-page X-Wing follow-up book, and just like in the end, it'd be like, oh, and Wedge died. That's like the last line of the book.
What if he got a massive wedgie?
BTW, Wedge died.
And it killed him.
Do people dress up like him at cons? You guys go to this all the time.
Yeah.
How do you know it's Wedge?
says, "Hello, my name is Wedge."
I'm sure. I mean, no offense, all the fat X-wings are Porkins.
Yeah,
or Piggy.
Wedge.
They're not Luke. So if you have dark hair and you don't have a mustache,
you're not Biggs.
You're if you have a mustache, you're Biggs. If you don't have one, you're Wedge. And if you have blonde hair, you're Luke.
That's how you do.
Is anyone Dak?
I haven't seen a Dak.
I would go as Luke and put a dummy on my back that was like all dead, and that would be Dak.
That would be an awesome costume.
A smushed dummy.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
Did you recognize how many? I was just let's try this. How many of the pilot name did you recognize at the end of that clip? And I wrote them down.
Okay.
There's Luke. We said Luke, Porkins, Biggs, Wedge, and Dak.
Porkins, Luke.
Mm-hmm.
Probably Wedge. I don't.
Well, we just talked. That was the Wedge clip. I hope you recognize that.
Yeah.
You didn't recognize Biggs? You should recognize Biggs. That was our.
Not really.
He was our. That was the CD episode we gave away at Wizard World.
Oh,
Biggs
okay.
Darklighter.
Okay.
You pretty much guessed.
He's the one
what
that
I
looked
thought
like
you
Tom Selleck.
in
with like
the artwork, I guess, but I don't think he
porn stash.
He doesn't really look like him on screen necessarily, but yeah, the artwork may have made him look like it. Yeah, that was pretty much what I thought you were gonna say. I thought you might remember Biggs, and I knew you wouldn't know Dak. I was just curious.
Sounds like the stuff you put in the wall.
Yeah, you're not being scored.
Okay,
so
good.
okay.
Good.
Right.
I would be losing.
This guy probably don't recognize and probably don't know.
Kind of looks like John Wayne.
He doesn't look anything like John Wayne.
Okay.
John Wayne Gacy, maybe.
No, they have no idea. Is he human?
Yes, he's human.
Okay.
His name is Klieg Lars. Let's see. You saw another Attack of the Clones person. You probably remember the idea of him better. He was the man that married Anakin's mother. They went back to the home that looks, we're on Tatooine, and he had a new family. That's the father of the family, or the husband, I guess you'd say.
His name is Klieg.
Klieg, yes.
And the other thing was Llama.
Yeah.
Why does it sound like
Evan?
That it kind of sounds all like it all sounds like IKEA pieces. Oh yes, I've got to put together my Klieg Lars. Oh, and then I will scoot my Llama Sue chair underneath.
I have been to IKEA. I haven't been to one in 15 years.
If you went to an IKEA, you would probably want a Klieg Lars in ivory.
Okay.
Or Zeben.
I will take this picture with me.
Take it and go. I would like
IKEA
a Klieg Lars.
See what happens.
Yeah.
Okay.
You'll get
Probably
a chair.
Nothing.
You get a chair.
Okay. Well, this is another Attack of the Clones character. I don't know why we had a slew of Attack of the Clone characters in this group of episodes, but we did. And this is a rare occasion. This is where Dave and I think Chris and Tim, and we'll hear in a second, I think we actually all got behind part of the story of Attack of the Clones as liking. But the more we discussed it, that doesn't last very long. So for more about that, here is a clip from episode 34 about Klieg Lars.
No, I agree with you guys there. I think, as I've said before, episode 2 is my least favorite of all the Star Wars films, but I do like the Tatooine scenes. I even think that Hayden Christensen puts in a pretty good performance when his mother dies. I think that's his best acting performance of both movies. That one scene where his mom dies. I think he puts in a good job. So I think just about everything on Tatooine in episode 2, to me, is like top notch.
As much as I hate and complain about how small the whole Star Wars galaxy is, and not even in the extended universe, even just in the movies, I think we talked about the whole Chewbacca Yoda thing when we did Tarful. Of all the things I do hate where they have characters intertwined, this one I actually like, because you knew Uncle Owen had to be in the Skywalker family somehow. So bringing Shmi in as his stepmother, I really like this, is what I'm trying to say. I think of all the ones I hate, I want to take the time to point out, saying I really like how this one ties the characters together.
Absolutely. Yeah, I thought you guys would think I was crazy, but this is the point where I really started getting back into Star Wars as far as these prequels go.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was a good explanation for something in the original trilogy, and that's what I was looking for.
Yep.
Prequels. Mm-hmm. It's a good explanation. How did Uncle Owen become an uncle to Luke, or was it just a name, or did it mean something? And this is just really when Anakin starts getting dark. Those scenes are great. Like just in the whole Tusken Raider scene that happens afterwards. Like I've never been a Hayden Christensen hater like a lot of people are, but I love those scenes because it's one of the major cruxes of his development, his inability to save his mother.
That is the first nail in the coffin almost is the one, all those scenes. And I just watched it on Blu-ray. I could be wrong. I was mad when this movie came out and the Tusken Raiders, and it came out of the tent and he slaughtered the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't they cut it out before he actually hit him?
No.
In the original release?
Yeah.
No.
On Blu-ray, you see his whole head and
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. On DVD. I don't know. I think the guy gets a bad rap. I'm not going to sit here and say he's fantastic, but
what did you say?
You're wrong. I'm going to sit here and say you're completely wrong, dude.
I'm standing by the guy. I think that he can do some things and doesn't get credit for being able to do anything.
He was cursed with bad dialogue and bad character direction.
Yes. On
the Naboo scenes, and that sort of sealed his fate for the rest of that movie and going into Episode 3, I think. But I do think that his scenes on Tatooine, I think, are solid.
Yeah, him rolling down the hill with Natalie Portman and giggling is stupid. But him,
there you go. That's the best.
You know, him screaming to her afterwards. They were like animals, and I slaughtered them like animals. I hate them. You know, I love that stuff. I think he can do that stuff. He's an angsty teenager.
Wrong.
Yeah, he's very emo in Episode 2.
Yeah,
it's unfair.
They could have hired Emo Phillips, and I would have been happier with the performance.
They're like animals.
I slaughtered them like animals.
All right.
That's all the information I have on Klieg. The only other stuff
we're talking about Klieg. Shit, I thought we were talking about Owen and then Shmi and then Anakin. I got totally lost.
My question I have for you for this clip is, I guess, just a general. What is your opinion of Hayden Christensen? Is that it? Christensen? I don't know. What's your opinion of him? I don't think we've ever discussed this. I can't imagine we've ever discussed this. I can't see the situation.
I don't think this would be a dinner conversation.
But I'm curious, as a woman, since there's no women on the show, what is your opinion of him?
Not a big fan. Oh,
okay.
Actors, for me, come in two kind of categories. Either they're really, really good actors, or they're pretty.
Okay, and which one is he?
He is neither one of the two actor. He is in a third where it's. I won't watch it.
So the scale kind of fell off the post. It's just
I'm in the middle of. I could do something else, like
it's one of those weird physics
hair.
things. No matter how much weight you put on either side, nothing happens.
Correct.
Okay, so that's a pretty good explanation of him, in my opinion, too.
Yep.
Okay, I was just curious.
He's neither overly pretty nor good at all.
Okay, so we've never had a female perspective on him before, and now we do, and now we never need to have one again. Well, like I said, to open the show, we're leading up to our 100th episode, and we're putting some new things in place for the 100th episode and for further episodes as well. And one of those things is we put a voicemail button on our webpage where you can record a voicemail directly from your computer. If you aren't able to do it from your computer, it gives you instructions how to do it from your cell phone or landline, or how to mail us one as well. So to access that and leave us a message, if you want to leave it about the 100th episode, great. If you want to leave it about anything, about any of the characters we talked about, things you liked about the show, maybe things you don't like about the show, we're happy to hear it. It's easy to do. Just visit our website at swic.neozaz.com, and on the right side of the screen, you'll see a button that says send voicemail. Just click that and it'll give you all the instructions from there. Well, this is the moment I have been waiting for while doing the best of since the first volume of best of, I should say. I'm just so excited I can't speak because we're about to talk about this guy. You know who this guy is.
That is Will Wright.
You know who this guy is. Yes, of course.
We have his action figure on the wall.
His action figure is right there on the wall. Thank you again to my co-host Dave for that. best birthday ever when I got my Wilroy Hood figure.
It makes you physically smile.
It does.
Like I'll see you working on the computer and your eyes will just kind of drift off to the right.
I'll just start whistling.
Like,
I don't even know what the real Christmas song it is anymore because it'll always be I fucking love Wilroy Hood. It doesn't matter who's playing it or singing.
We better not go in public and carol.
Anyway.
We should never carol.
Oh man, we should do some Star Wars and character Christmas caroling this year.
No.
Anyway, that's another idea. That's for another episode. Now, obviously, when you're talking about Wilroy Hood, it's hard to pick up a best of moment because from beginning to end is just the best that there is. But in fairness to the other 13 episodes we need to cover in this best of episode, I picked just a small piece of the best character ever. So from episode 35, here's more about Wilroy Hood.
He worked for a mining company called ArFilter, and they were one of many mining companies on Bespin. Which I always thought that Lando was just in charge of everything, but apparently there's different companies doing mining on Bespin, and the ArFilter is one of them. And Wilroy Hood works for this company, but I always thought that Cloud City itself was its own company.
So there's like subcontracting going on.
I guess, yeah. ArFilter had its ties to the rebellion. It helped out the rebellion by giving discount prices on Tibana gas.
Prices slash.
Yeah. So they were
buy 3 cones, get 1 can of gas free.
They were very quietly assisting the rebels by giving them slashed discount prices on Tabana fuel.
That sounds hilarious. Crazy Wilroy. We're insane.
Did he talk real fast like the other guy does?
Like the other guy.
He was that guy. Remember the guy who was a kid? Come here.
Next guy?
No, the guy who used to sell shit on TV real fast.
Crazy Eddie? Or are you talking the Micro Machine guy?
Yeah, but he was also an announcer for like some kind of store for a while.
Micro Machine guy?
Yeah.
If we say yes, can we continue talking about Wilroy Hood?
Matt's been asking to do this character since we started doing it.
We've talked about the Micro Machine guy, the FedEx guy, and Eddie Murphy more than Wilroy Hood so far.
This is not what Matt had in mind.
And Bill Cosby, which may or may not even make it on this show.
Yeah.
Oh, wouldn't pop.
That's the best worst impression I've ever heard. Pork pop.
How about we do David Bowie and Bill Cosby talking?
Hey, David, what are you working on in this album over there, boy?
Turn back, Bill.
Anyway,
you're right.
so they were given discounted price of the rebellion, and Wilroy Hood was in charge of the department that slashed those prices to low deals.
So he's a comptroller.
Yeah. And pretty much that was his thing. He was their discounter. And when the Imperials invaded Cloud City, Wilroy Hood took it upon himself to retrieve the computer core that held all that information and all the rebellion contacts, and then run with it to the nearest waste disposal facility where he dumped it.
It's so ridiculous. I read this because I wanted to know what this was about too. That is so ridiculous to call that a computer core. That's just that is such a stretch.
Yep.
So
he runs with the computer core, throws it out, and then he gets interrogated, and they can't find anything, and that's pretty much the end of his story.
So he's a hero.
Hell yeah!
Yes, he.
You can't spell hero without row.
That's true.
He's got 3 out of the 4 letters in
He
his
does.
in his full name.
He's just missing the E, and he don't need no E because he's Wilroy.
Well, I mean, if we take hero from like the movie or the TV show Heroes, H-I-R, he can be Japanese.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll go with that.
But we'll take that.
He could also be Willow.
Yeah. He was a hero too.
Ah, great.
But,
he could be Hill.
Or Bill Cosby.
Puddin' Pop.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Puddin' Pop.
Here's Chris's Bill Cosby impression. Pudding Pop.
Here's Chris's Bill Cosby impression. Bill Cosby, Puddin' Pop. Bill Cosby.
Puddin' Pop. Look at my sweater.
I got a glass eye, I think. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Telling you that guy's That guy is looking at me and you at the same time.
Doesn't mean it's glad. Why are we talking about Bill Cosby when clearly Wilbur Hood deserves our undivided attention?
Wilbur Hood. Wilbur Hood.
Well, he's making pudding pops in that computer core. Now, after listening to this clip again, I mean, not only is this my favorite obscure character by far, this episode actually is a kind of a foundation episode for where Star Wars and character has gone after this. And I'm not doing more Wilbur pandering. I'm actually serious. And I wrote down some notes while we listened to that. There was this is where I fucking love Wilbur Hood came from, which I knew going into this. And the Bill Cosby thing, our Bill Cosby
That's
impressions.
the first time Dave did that?
We probably did it before, but it's the first time during a recording episode. Like we've done it. I don't know. I'm going to guess it had to have happened before recording or after, just because it's an impression Dave has done
for a long time.
Yeah. But this is the first time it was captured on tape, as it were, or in a recording, on a digital recording.
On data tape, on laser disc, on tablet.
No. I know where you're going with that. That's okay. So
stop.
So I mean, apart from being my favorite character, it's pretty I don't know, influential. I don't know what to say. It's an interesting benchmark for where the show has gone from there. So anyway, enough. I can't stop talking about Wilbur Hood. And
yes, you can. You should.
I know it. Well, I shouldn't until now that we see who we're doing next. Do you know? I know you know what this is, but do you know what this is?
Which what?
Yeah, exactly.
It's Jar Jar?
No, it's not Jar Jar. We actually talked about this Gungan. Remember when we did the tournament leading up to the Star Wars Obscure Character Face-Off?
Yes.
That was in one of the tournaments. I think it was in the Good Guy tournament.
Somebody voted for him. People voted for him?
Tim voted for him. I think. I could be wrong. His name is Ruse Tarples. So it probably doesn't. I think we just referred to him as the Gungan a lot in that episode. So you may remember him only as that. So I'm going to go on and live and say that.
Yeah.
So it was, if we're going to talk about a Gungan in an episode, it was unavoidable that we're just going to talk about Gungans in general, because we all have pretty strong and varied opinions about them. And actually, what this clip is about, this is where we're actually learning more about Gungans. So from episode 36 about Ruse Tarples, here's a little bit to learn about Gungans.
They seem like there's a lot going on in Naboo, and I don't understand any of it.
Yeah, it's not very clear, especially to me, and I would assume a lot of people. There's probably some things in some books somewhere that explain a lot of things, but I don't really think there's a whole lot that needs to be explained. It's kind of like separation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's the Gungans and their underwater ghettos, and then the Naboo and their ivory towers above.
Right. It makes you kind of pull for the Gungans a little more and hate the humans.
A little bit.
Although then Jar Jar and Boss Nass come in, and then you just hate everybody.
Exactly.
Maybe we start being friends.
Hey.
Anyway, going back to Tarples. Tarples, he decided to change his ways. So in order to better himself and to change his life, he enlisted into the Gungan Grand Army. I'm not sure who the Gungan Grand Army fights.
That's what was going to be my question. I was like, what is this army fighting against?
I think they just run drills.
Okay. Yeah.
up until the Battle of Naboo. I think they just run underwater drills all day.
Razzle dazzle.
Marching up and down the square.
That took a second.
But I think they're mainly just a security force for the cities of keeping the Naboo out, I would assume, or any other people who may want to interlope onto Gungan land, underwater land stuff.
Like Jedi.
Yes. Yeah, they're like Japan. They're what is it? Isolationists. They don't want anybody to come in their city that aren't Gungans. So they're very sheltered. It's a very sheltered life they live. But after joining the army, and he eventually rose to the rank of captain, he and Jar Jar didn't hang out a whole lot. He was distancing himself from Jar Jar. So he was too cool for school when it came to Jar Jar. But eventually Jar Jar had a little issue where he was exiled from Uta Gunta, which is the city that we see in episode 1, because he destroyed Boss Nass's hay blibber.
What?
Well,
he says hay blibber in the movie, and for some reason I always thought hay blibber was slang for head. Like I thought he knocked him on the head or something. Mm-hmm. But a hay blibber is a luxury version of the bongo boat that we see them all going through the planet core in. So I don't know what I'd rather have my vehicle named, a bongo or a hay blibber.
So that's why he's persona non grata in episode 1, because he's destroyed Boss Nass's ship.
He destroyed Boss Nass's favorite ship.
Okay. Do you understand that? I mean, I only saw episode 1 once. Did they make that clear? Because I just remember him not being liked, and I thought it was for the reasons that everybody feels. And they mentioned that specifically in the movie.
Yeah, they say he says it in Gunganese, and it's difficult to understand exactly what he's referring to. I always thought he knocked something and hit Boss Nass in the head or something.
With words like that, why did they bother putting it in a different language? It makes no sense in English or that language or anything.
I don't know. But yeah, hay blibber, I would never have thought of it as a luxury vehicle for the Gungans to cruise the water lanes in.
Hey, has anybody done a Star Wars parody of that Psy song?
Oh yeah, like almost immediately.
Style.
Almost immediately, and they did it in Jar Jar's voice, of course. There may be one where it was sung like by a Psy impressionist or impersonator, rather, with the same lyrics, but I hadn't seen that. But yeah, almost immediately there's a Gungan style video on YouTube. So. Let's stop talking about them. So I did have a question for you. You know what? No, let me say this. Okay, I mean, I never say anything nice about Gungans or Jar Jar, and I'm sorry, but in my opinion, rightfully so. But I'm going to say this. I did write this post note down. I do say what I say about the Gungans and that whole thing, but if there is some good to come out of them, it probably is the best 3D segment of the new Star Tours ride.
Oh, yeah.
It's probably the most action-filled and definitely at least the best 3D. So I think of all the choices in that rotation, I do think that's the best one. So there is something positive I can say about the existence of the Gungans.
Not from the movies, but from the ride.
Not from the movie, but from the ride, yes. So I want to take a moment to talk about the 100th episode here, because we hadn't really talked much about it, if at all, on the past 2 episodes of the podcast. And we haven't said much here yet. So here's what I can tell you so far. It will be a live episode, like I mentioned, a webcast. It's going to be an audio-only webcast. We're going to pull out the video. And we're pulling out the video because we're actually adding something else in its place. And what we're adding is a call-in feature. We have a phone number and a Skype account that you'll be able to call into during the live webcast and join in on the show. There's going to be 3 lines open. We're going to get through everyone as well as we can. Anyone that wants to participate, we certainly want you to be on there and enjoy yourselves as well. We'll also have a chat room like we usually have to interact with everyone. We've always had a great time doing these live shows, mainly because of the interaction part of it. And we think with this call-in feature, it's just going to add to it. Now, what the subject matter is, I am not going to say until I'm with my co-host, and we may not even have a chance to release that until we tell you the date and time of the episode, but I'm going to wait until I'm with them to announce that. So as far as the date and time is concerned, that hasn't been scheduled yet. I can tell you it's roughly 2 weeks from the release of this episode. And to find out, like I said earlier, that will be on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Star Wars in Character. That will definitely be the first place we list the date and time for the 100th episode.